Today's special project is the quad bike again. Having a problem at the moment where the chain drops off the sprocket if you hit a bit of a bump. If we look down here, there's a bit of slack in there. It's not overly slack, but this bike doesn't have a chain tensioner. So I think you get a bit of a bump and that's it, off it comes. Looking down at the chain adjusters, you can see these two things down here. The previous owner's got a conglomeration of nuts and washers and crap on there, which usually means that you've run out of thread on those adjusters, and probably means the chain is stretched and might be time to take a link out. So we'll get it apart a bit and see what we find. I reckon I'm going to have to take a link out of the chain. This bracket down here has got a couple of bolts down the bottom here, one on either side, and it pivots up here, and that whole section swivels back and forward. That's how the chain is tensioned. If I look down the back there, I can see a nut down in here, which would be to stop the thing bouncing around. So you'd probably have to back this one off. You'd have to back that one off and then tighten this one up. So no amount of nuts and crap are going to tighten it anymore. I'd say it's at the end of its travel, so I'll have to pull it apart and I'll give you a bit of a demo on how to get a link out of a chain. Okay, I've got all those nuts and crap off. You can see there's a nut on the back. Am I pointing down here? But the other side doesn't have one, so not really sure what's going on there. But I'll keep disassembling and see how we go. As usual, I've got a 17mm spanner and a 19mm spanner. For some reason my set doesn't have an 18. Guess what size that is? I'll have to go and find some more spanners. Okay, found an 18mm socket. Need to loosen those so it can swivel. Where are the other nuts? Right down under there. Let's get it up on my block. I can spin the wheels. I should be able to push that back in now. I'll just need a pushing tool. That'll make it tighter. Like that. Need more equipment. Just looking for the joining link. There it is, on the other side. I'll get a little screwdriver and a pair of long nose pliers. Should be able to get that off. You don't want to, excuse my hat, you don't want to fire it across the room. Crap in there. Wonder how long since that's been off. we go, that's that piece. That link should come out. Maybe if we take the chain off, it'll be easier. Not. I think that effectively pushed the tensioning mechanism back. That's strange. Never seen one do that before. I'd say it's razzed. Maybe I can save it if I hammer that over on that side again. We'll see what happens. I dropped the little spring clip for the chain joining link, and do you think I could see it? This is probably the best gadget for finding crap that metal crap that you've lost that I've ever seen. Watch this. It's right there. So once you pass over it, sticks out quite a mile. Couldn't see it on its own. Another thing to look at, this chain is dry as anything, but if it bends this way, see how that makes an arc? That's a pretty good indication that it's worn as well. I'm not going to worry about it, we'll just put it back together. Go and take one link out, make it a bit shorter. Show you how we do that. When you're taking a link out, you're not actually taking one link out, you take out two. You've got to take out the small one and the big one. So it's those two pieces there. What we'll do is we'll grind the top off that swivel there, or that pin, and then just knock it through with a pin punch. That will get us back to the same size here. We'll end up with a smaller one, so that'll be the end of the chain up there. So let's get at that. Just need my earmuffs. About that size ought to do it. A hammer from my hammer selection. Maybe if we hold it over here. Still see that? You can. Oh. All right, different approach. Get a bigger hammer. Where's Monday? This one's called Monday because if the boss caught you using it, he'd say, "Don't come Monday." Wonder why that doesn't want to move. Okay, take my earmuffs off now so I don't shout at you. I just gave it a couple of taps off camera and got it to move. That bit of tube goes down to the bottom of the vise so it's nice and solid. That pin will fit inside the hole. I've got it balanced on a bucket here so I don't need 3 hands. With that up on there, out comes the pin. So now that will come off there. So it looks the same as the other side did. Not that we need it, but down in there will be the little pin. As for my joining link, one of those went straight through. That one's still pretty solid. That one I think can come out. So what I might do, yeah, there we go, is I'll burr that over a little more. And what I don't want to do is damage the other side. So what I'll just reassemble this again. Put the little spring clip back on. Maybe. Well, that won't really matter. Oh, okay, too hard. What I'll do is, I've got a little piece of brass here, just an offcut. That way it won't damage the other side. It won't damage this end of the pin. So if I sit that up there, like that, give it a few taps on the back, it'll start to mushroom that end. So I think now it won't go right through. I'll just give it a few more. Alright, not as big a mushroom as the other side, but should be adequate. That plate goes back on there. I'm lucky. Right. Okay, so it does still go on there. Like that, I'll be able to put the spring clip back on, and hopefully that'll give me back some adjustment. I might put some oil on it too once it's back on. Wouldn't that be nice? Right, I took both of those bolts right out. I could see one had a spring washer on it, the other one didn't, so I've got to find another spring washer. As I saw before, one had a nut up there and the other one didn't. What actually happens is this bracket pulls back this way. You can see it. It swivels that way. So back is tight and forward is loose, and basically it's going to be the nut behind. You can see the nut behind the little bracket there that does the tensioning. So not going to do much tensioning without that nut. It's holding it loose instead of holding it tight. So I'll go and find some more hardware. Okay, after much digging and rummaging around, I managed to find 4 nylock nuts, 4 flat washers, a spare spring washer, and I think it was the only one I had that size. So now I should have enough bits to put it back together again. I'll stick it back in the stand and you can watch. Not sure how exciting it will be. Let's put the chain back on now. Now I'll need to tighten these nuts up till the chain comes tight. It's pretty tight already. And then that'll be complete. Some stupid size probably. Looks like 13 will do the trick. That's going to be painful. I don't think I'll put this through that. Okay, got it back together again, and the tension is pretty good, and you can see from the nuts there we're out towards the end of the stroke now instead of the other way around. But if you look down there, you can see it's not quite straight. So what I'll need to do is loosen these bolts again and adjust it so that I've got a straight line between here and there. That's close. It's not spot on. But we can see now that we've got roughly the same amount of thread hanging out here and hanging out there, and you can see it's pretty close. We'll call that good. It's all looking a bit strange how these bolts are sideways compared to these not being square. Yeah, I think we can thank our Chinese engineers for that. We'll just make sure that one's tight. Alrighty, that's pretty good there. I've just put a bit of oil on it. Forgot to push the record button. I normally use some oil can with some chainsaw bar and cutter oil. It's fairly gooey stuff. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it on the camera, but it's like stringy. It makes little strings when you pull it apart. So it helps the oil stick to the chain. Now if I spin it around now, doesn't sound too bad. You can see it's still got a bit of play there. It's not dead tight, but that should be tight enough now that the chain can't fall off. If I spin it backwards, you'll hear it hooking onto the chain if the sprockets are worn out. You'll hear a couple of catches here and there, but I think that's pretty good. So we'll call that fixed. You might have noticed in previous videos, I've got these two things sticking up the back here. This one, we hook the ponies on there and take them for a trot around the paddock because they're little fat bastards. And that's the exhaust pipe, so they don't get this fume straight in their faces. I'll see if I can find another clip to tack on after this one, showing the ponies running along. Anyway, I'll take it for a test ride now, but you guys can assume it's fixed. bit hard doing that one-handed. Hello, horses. It's Ella. Hello, Ella. How are you going for a big girl? Any midgies? Yeah, not too bad. Indy, found it in your own piss again. Bloody hell. There's a job for Dave. They're hiding in here because the midgies are out in the paddock. They go out, have something to eat and then come back in again. I've got some insect repellent to put on them. I'll do that and they can go out and have another go at eating. Oh, it looks like Ella's on her way out anyway. Maybe he wants to check out my quad bike repair. What about you, Indy? Come on, big guy. You guys probably don't want to watch me scrub piss off the concrete floor. Just takes a minute.